Hello, welcome to episode 2.
Here's our blanket, excellent.
An asymmetrical twist. Dropping and sinking up.
Notice how
So just notice. Joining us for the second episode of next week. Namaste. Hello and welcome to episode 58 of Namaste Yoga. Today we're finishing our final series of classes on listening with your whole body. We're going to start seated today, so get whatever props you need to support you in seated. If you're better to sit on a chair, then go ahead and sit on a chair. You're also going to need a yoga strap for this practice. If you don't have a yoga strap, you can use a tie from your housecoat or an old necktie would be totally fine too. So get yourself into a comfortable seated position and take a deep breath in. Let it fall out and close your eyes if they're not already closed. So begin by tuning into your breath. Notice where you feel your breath in your body this morning. Notice if your breath feels deep and big or shallow or small. There's no right or wrong way to feel your breath, just noticing and gathering information about your breath. Maybe you feel your breath more to the front of your body or more to the back of your body. Maybe you feel it more to the sides. Maybe more in your upper body or maybe more in your lower body. So just notice where you're feeling your breath today and the quality of your breath. And then take a deep breath in and let it go. And shift your attention and focus to your body, to your physical body. So what parts of your body are calling your attention today? And what's your body saying to you? And take a deep breath in and let it go. And connect with your thinking mind. Notice what thoughts are most going through your mind right now. What are you thinking about? And then take a deep breath in and let it go. And tune into your emotions. How are you feeling? Maybe some stress and anxiety, maybe content, maybe some joy, maybe some excitement, maybe some anger and frustration. Just notice what emotions are on the surface today. Maybe which ones are a little bit deeper underneath. And then take a deep breath in and let it fall out. And tune into the part of you that's bigger than all of that, that encompasses all of that that knows without knowing. What's it like to connect with your spirit today? And then take a deep breath in and let it go. And check in with what's going on in your life right now. What is it that you bring with you to your yoga mat, to your practice today? What's going on in your world, in your relationships, in your work, in your family life, in your play? What's going on? And how does that affect you as a person as you come to your yoga mat to practice today? And then take a deep breath in and let it go. And bring all of those pieces of information back together in the whole. Yoga is about, means to yoke, and it's to yoke that union between your body and your breath, your thoughts, your emotions, your spirit, and your life circumstances. So when you bring all of those things together to experience the wholeness of you, how can this practice best serve you in what you're trying to create in your life right now? Why yoga today? What do you hope to receive? And in answering those questions, you can set an intention for your practice. And then take a deep breath in and let it go. And stretch out in whatever way you need to stretch out after being in a seated position. And when you're ready, join me on the ground lying on your back. And get your strap too to support you. So we're going to start with lying on your back, and you're going to make a little loop on the bottom of your strap if you have a yoga strap. And then take that loop and place it around your right leg and take your right leg straight in the air. Okay, so really open up the space in the back of your leg. And if you're able to create more ease in your body by backing off here a bit and able to drop the back of your pelvis into the ground, then go ahead and back off a bit. Remember, if you're feeling it, you're doing it. Also check in with your fingers and make sure you're not creating too much tension in your hands by holding on to the strap. And then keep your left leg really dropping and sinking into the ground, and open your right leg out to the side. And find your just right edge to stop, somewhere where you can hang out and explore. Something interesting is happening that you can stay with for a while. It's not too much and it's not too little. It's somewhere past why bother and not too far that it's something you can't stay with. And check in with your breath when you're choosing your edge too. If your breath is steady and calm, then that's a good edge. If it's kind of choppy and labored, then you need to back off a little bit. And then slowly bring your right leg back center. And take your right leg straight up. And from this position, keep the back of your pelvis heavy on the ground and start to cross your leg over without lifting your pelvis. You want to feel this along the outside of your leg here. So check in with what's going on in your body as you do this. These are kind of full body postures. We're really working with the legs right now, but there's an effect all the way up through the body. And even you're still engaging and thinking about your upper body when you're working your lower body here, because your concentration and your focus can be on keeping your shoulders relaxed and keeping your connected to your breath in and your breath out. Notice how your edge changes over time, and sometimes you're going to have to go a little bit further to connect a little bit more to that sensation. Okay, and then bring your leg back center and lower your right leg down. And just close your eyes and check in with your body and notice what it's like to connect to your body in a really internal way, where you're not looking externally at what the body's looking like, but feeling internally for what your body's feeling like. So very different looking for the response in the mirror or on this weight scale from really feeling what it feels like in your body. So now you can take your right foot and release your strap and then hook up your left foot. And keep the back of your pelvis sinking and dropping into the ground again, and then open up the space along the back of your left leg and drawing your leg in. So much of our commercial culture encourages us to look on the outside as a way of measuring the satisfactory quality of our body, So many products available to us to improve our bodies. But what would it be like to tune into your body in an internal way and really ask it for what it needs right now? Maybe it still is a face cream or weight loss shakes, but more likely it's going to be something simpler, something that could nourish your body. So from here, open your left leg out to the side. And again, keep your right leg sinking and dropping into the ground. Here you can keep the intensity of your stretch by drawing your leg up towards your body. Try not to hike your left hip too much. You want to try and keep your hips somewhat as much level as you can. And then bring your left leg back center, lengthen it up again. And start to cross your left leg over, keeping the back of your pelvis heavy on the ground. Feeling that kind of intense sensation along the outside of your leg. And how could you connect more directly to your experience right now? then slowly release your left leg to the ground, and just check in with the difference here. So I'm just noticing my left foot's touching the wall now. It wasn't before. Okay. All right, so from here, bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor. And then sink your feet into the ground and lift your pelvis off the ground. You can roll your shoulders under and interlace your fingers. You want to keep your knees parallel here. Tendency here is for the knees to really splay out. Keep grounding through the inside edge of your feet, and that will help you to keep this connection. So in this series on listening with our whole body, we've been working on building a relationship with our body by listening to our physical body, our breath, our thoughts, our emotions, our spirit, feeling how our life affects our body and how our body affects our life. So as you hold bridge pose, I want you to ask yourself, what kind of relationship have you built with your body over the last 8 weeks? What kind of bridge have you built to that relationship with your body? And then uncurl your shoulders, lower your pelvis, and hug your knees into your chest. If there are any knee issues, it's always a better idea to hold on behind your lower legs, so on your hamstrings. So just note that if you're somebody who has any knee issues. And then lower your feet to the ground and roll over onto your stomach. And from your stomach, place your forehead on the ground. Bring your hands down by the side. Press the front of your pelvis into the ground. Roll your shoulders back and up and bring your arms in line with the shoulders. So they'll be off the ground. Your fingertips will be pointing towards your toes. Towards your pose. Which way would that be? Okay, from here you're going to sink your tailbone and your pubic bone towards the front of the mat. And breathe out. Draw up through your pelvic floor. Draw your navel back towards your spine. And then inhale. And on that inhalation, you can lift your body off the ground and reach your legs off the ground. And in this pose, ask yourself, to what extent do you open to the strength of your body? And then slowly lower down and take your hands up underneath your shoulders. Push yourself up onto all fours. Bring your knees up underneath you. And fold forward over your bent knees. Then roll up through your spine and come up onto all fours. So on all fours, we're going to do cat and cow pose. And in this pose, I want you to really think about connecting your breath with your movement so that your breath envelops the movement. So begin your breathing out and then round up through your back and time it so that your breath continues just a little bit after you come to your fully rounded position. And then start your inhale. And once you start your inhale, start tipping the other way. So your head and tail lift up towards the ceiling, your belly and your chest open towards the ground. So it's breathing out and round. And breathing in and arching in the other direction. So what's it like to connect to this as a mindfulness practice of being very conscious of the relationship between the breath and the movement here? And then walk your hands back to your knees and come into a standing kneeling position. Turn yourself sideways on your mat. And you might want to double up your mat underneath your one knee to have a little bit more cushioning for your knee. And take your right leg out to the side. So from here, level off your hips. Your right hip bone is in line with your left hip bone, both front to back and top to bottom. Toes point straight ahead, tail tucks under. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, side bend over your right leg and then lower your right arm down, either above or below your knee, depending on your flexibility here. And in this position, really think about lengthening through your left leg, growing it into the ground, reaching out through your left fingertips so that you're opening up your rib cage, all those intercostal muscles, so that you can open to breath the way a fish would open its gills. And then slowly come back up and let's switch sides. So maybe fold your mat on the other side for some extra padding underneath your knee. And then take your left leg out to the side, level off your hips. And inhale and reach your arms straight up. Exhale, side bend over your left leg, lower your left arm. Keep opening your right shoulder back. Okay, and then slowly come up and find your way down to a seated position. Let's stay with your legs in this position with your right knee bent and your left leg extended, and just check that you're in a position where your right knee is on the mat. Take your right hand just to the side of your right buttocks, and we're going to do another exercise to connect with your breath, where you're going to inhale and arc up. And then exhale and arc back down. So inhale and arc up. And exhale down. And then switch sides, so your left knee is bent and your right leg is extended. Lengthen up through your spine. Take your left hand beside your left buttocks. Check and make sure that your left knee is on your mat. And then inhale and sweep up, open to your breath. And exhale and lower down. Great. And then come to a seated position and get whatever props you need to support you in sitting. You might want to get a block or a pillow to sit on here so that your hips are lifted a little bit, so that your knees can relax open and there's not grippiness in your hips. And what we're going to do is the Sharira Mudra series. It's a hand body mudra series that will allow you to connect with your breath. And so you'll start with your hands in an L shape. I'll just show them all to you and then we'll do them together. And the first position of the hands is at the base of your ribs. And you'll feel breath movement there. And then you'll keep that L shape and you'll bring your thumbs up and reach them into your armpits. And you'll feel for breath movement here. And then the next one is fingertips will reach onto your upper back. Just tuck them in underneath your shirt and feel for breath movement there. So that one looks like this. And if you have any shoulder mobility issues, this can be quite a challenging position. And so if that's the case, you could always do this one in child's pose with your fingertips on your upper back. And then the final one in this series to connect with your breath is bring your palms together, interlace all your fingers except for your middle finger and your thumb. Bring your middle finger to the top of your breastbone and your thumb to the bottom of your breastbone. Press your palms together. And here you'll be feeling for your breath along your breastbone. Okay, so I'll remind you of all those as we go along and we'll stay with each one for a few breaths. So start with your hands in that L shape and then bring them to the base of your ribs. Roll your shoulders back and down, lengthen your spine up nice and tall. And as you do this, notice what it's like to connect to this combination of your body and your breath. And then shift your hands up so you're reaching your thumbs back into your armpits, wide through your collarbones, shoulders relaxed. So notice how the experience is different here. Your experience of your breath and your body is different here. And lower your arms. And here, bring your fingertips to your upper back. And remember, this is the position that you can take child's pose in if this is too much strain on your shoulders. So the intention is to connect with your breath here. So if all you're feeling is pain in your shoulders, then that's not really going to allow you to connect with your breath. So take child's pose. So what's it like to connect with your breath here? And if connecting with your breath isn't happening, just notice that too. And then release your arms. Bring your palms together, interlace your fingers, middle fingers are extended, thumbs are extended. Bring your middle fingers to rest at the top of your breastbone, your thumbs to rest at the bottom. Lengthen up through your spine again, open up through your upper chest. What's it like to connect to this part of your body? And what's your relationship to your breath from this hand-body position? And then slowly release your arms. And make your way onto all fours. We'll do down dog as a way to stretch out our legs after that seated position and as a transition to standing. And then walk your feet in towards your hands and come up to a standing position. So once you come to standing, roll your shoulders back and down. And then we're going to tune into our thoughts and our mind now with the next few postures. So let's, oh, I got a sneeze that wants to come out, but not really. Okay, so let's take our hands and make them into lion's claws. And you can inhale, open your arms out to the side, and then exhale, cross them. Inhale, open, exhale, cross them. And again, if this is any issue for your shoulder, you could always bring them in front of your body. Now inhale, reach your arms up, turn your claws out, and then exhale and lower them down. And roll your shoulders back and down again. And just notice the effect that that had on your mind. And then bring your right hand up in front of you with your palm facing towards your midline. hook your left arm underneath and bring your palms together. And experiment with a little bit with finding your edge here, so you can back off by bringing your elbows in and lowering them down, or you can find more by pulling them away from your body and lifting your elbows. And then lower your arms, unhook them, and just feel the difference between your right and your left shoulder now. Also check in with your mind again, see what effect this pose had on the experience of your mind right now. So now you'll bring your left arm up and hook your right arm underneath it. And again, play around to find your edge, so not too much, not too little, but somewhere where it feels interesting, like you can hang out and explore here for a little bit. That by staying in this position, you'll gather some information about yourself. And then release your arms, and we'll put this whole posture together. So shift your weight over towards your right leg. Bend your right knee, cross your left leg over, and maybe your toes stay on the ground. Check in if this is a good day for you to be practicing balance, and if it feels like that's something you want to do today, then you can pick up your foot and bring it to the outside of your right leg. If you want to more fully go into this experience, you can bend your right knee a little bit more and hook your left foot all the way around. So from here, you'll bring your right arm up in front of you and then hook your left arm underneath. So I chose this one for the brain because there's so many times your limbs cross your midline, and this really engages your brain. Your brain loves this kind of activity. And then release and unhook your legs. Maybe just shake that out a little bit. So let's do this on the other side. This time you'll shift your weight over to your left leg, bend your left knee, cross your right leg in front. Toes can stay on the ground, or you can bring them up to the outside of your leg. And if you want to go a little deeper, you can bend your left leg and hook your right foot all the way around. And then you'll bring your left arm up and hook your right arm underneath. And notice what's going on in your mind when you practice a pose like this that's kind of all-consuming. So a lot of people tell me they want to come to yoga to stop their mind. And so, well, we can never stop our mind. We can choose mindfulness. So to really focus on what it is that we're doing, be really present to what's happening right now. That's one of the ways to let go of all the worries about the past, the anxiety about the future, and just focus on the present moment. by connecting to our bodies and our breath, our thoughts and our emotions. Good, okay, let's release this. Okay, from here, stand at the front of your mat and take a deep breath in, reach up. Exhale and hinge forward, flat back, rolling your pelvis over your leg bones. When you need to, bend your knees so you can place your feet on the floor. Inhale, step your right foot back, and then exhale, step your left foot back into downward facing dog. So we're gonna move on into tuning into our emotions, and to do that, we're gonna connect to the area around our pelvis, which is said to store our emotions, the watery element of the second chakra. So let's take our right leg up and really open your right hip. Maybe even bend your right knee. Bring it around behind you as a way to open up your hip first. And then turn your right hip around. Bring your right knee forward. And cross your right heel over towards your left hip bone. Reach your left leg long behind you. Inhale here and exhale, fold forward over your bent right knee. Okay, and then come upright. Actually, yeah, come into the back bending version of pigeon. What I want you to do is swing your left leg all the way around you. Bring it all the way across. And here it can be useful if your hips are kind of tight to sit up on a block or a cushion here. That can make this a little easier for you. So now your left leg will be crossed over your right leg. And your legs will be lying like a shoelace, as they say in yin yoga. And see if you can evenly sit down through your left sit bone and not be kind of hiked up on that right side. And then just spend a few moments here breathing and sinking down into the intensity of this hip stretch here. And then inhale, exhale, hinge forward through your hips, but keep connected at your sit bones at the back. Sink down through your sit bones, lengthen up through your spine, and feel the intensity of the stretch through your hips, your left hip in particular, increase here. So I think it's so interesting that the hip opening poses are so intense, you know, they're a lot like the emotions in that way. Kind of intense and sometimes difficult to sit with. But that's our practice in yoga. Our practice is to sit with that intensity so that when we come to it in our day-to-day life, that we're able to be present with it in our day-to-day life too. We practice on the mat. So that we can be present to what is rather than distracting ourselves with food or television or partying, whatever your choice of distraction might be. We practice being present to what is. Okay, so now we're going to come to cow's face on the other side. This one you have to not think about too much. This is called Minka, who a lot of you know, who comes on the show quite often. She calls this the Twizzler. So you kind of stand up on your feet and you turn all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, and then your right leg ends up on top. Okay, and again, even if you didn't need a cushion on the other side, it might be that a cushion would be useful on this side, and you can just stick it underneath your hips here. So just take a few moments to settle in and let your right hip drop down. Again, you're going for that evenness on both sides. And notice how it's different here. Lengthen up nice and tall through your spine. Keep gluing your buttocks to the ground and hinge forward through your hips. So notice what emotions are present as you are practicing right now. And notice whether your tendency is to embrace that emotion or maybe it's to turn away from that emotion. So no wrong answer here, just gathering information and noticing what's happening. And then from there you can come to a place of choice. About maybe that emotion is too intense to sit with right now. Maybe you need to back away from it. Or maybe you are feeling strong enough to sit with it and really be present to what it is. Okay, so now we're going to do Pigeon on the other side. So you'll take this top bent right leg, bring it around and swoop it all the way around behind you. And your left leg's in a pretty good position to come into a forward folding pigeon here. In a forward folding pigeon here, some options for people with knee issues could be to bring your knee right up underneath you instead. Also, another option here, if this is just not working for your knees, I see some of my students are way up here and they're kind of perched and then it's putting some pressure on their knees, then it could be better to take the figure 4 pose instead, which is to simply lie on your back, cross your left leg over your right and draw your knee in. So that's also another option and a much safer one if there's any knee issues. So choose the one that's best for you. So find a way to let this posture out of your body, whether you're in the forward folding pigeon or the reclined figure 4 pose, and come to a seated position, again getting whatever props you need to support you in sitting. And so we finish our review of listening with our whole body by tuning into our spirit. And I chose a mudra. It's called the Mudra of Unshakable Trust. And if you spread your fingers nice and wide and then just interlace them, not fully into the webs of the hands, but just a little interlace so the fingers cross. Your thumbs are going to point forward. Roll your shoulders back and down. And then lower your hands to the position that works for your arms. So one thing I was noticing in my class today is there were all these different hand positions that wasn't that necessarily sat at the navel. It sort of depended on the length of my students' arms. So choose a position that works for you, that allows you to keep your spine long, your chest open, the back of your neck long. And then close your eyes and tune inward. And connect with that part of yourself that knows you like a best friend. A part of you that has your best interests at heart. to a place where you feel whole and complete, already perfect. And then release your hands and find your way onto lying on your back for savasana, place where you allow your practice to integrate. I'm going to read you this quote that I really think speaks to what we've been working with over the last 8 weeks, which is listening with your whole body. We listen with your body, your breath, your thoughts, your emotions, your spirit. We made life connections, and we looked at our relationship to edge and how that shows up with the way we choose edges in our day-to-day life. So this is the quote, and if it works for you, great. If not, just file it away for another time. If we do not have self-awareness to undergird our uniqueness, we never make our contribution. If we never have the time for the process of self-awareness, and then we finally do, we may be too exhausted to care. And then just one more quote. This one is from the Bhagavhadgita. And I think speaks to this idea of the whole body, and the body is a multifaceted organization of your physical being, your thought processes, your emotions, your spirit, your connection with your day-to-day life. See now, in this my body, my and body with capital letters, the whole universe centered in one with capital O. Take a deep breath. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Make your way out to transition back to your life. Thank you for joining us for episode 58 of Namaste Yoga. Next week we'll start a series of classes on the organ body. So please join us for that and let all your friends know about it. Thank you too for all the donations that you've given this week. It's very much appreciated. It helps us to continue to finance bringing Namaste Yoga to you and keeping it a free podcast so that it's available to you. Thank you so much. Namaste.